while my dependent conjunction, so it doesn't make any sense. I've got to add the rest of the sentence. While we were at the lake swimming, our friends decided to go to the movies. Well, now it makes sense because we are here, they're there, and I've made a complete thought. Number 6, adult insects have 3 pairs of legs. Most have 2 pairs of wings. I have 2 independent clauses there. Adult insects have 3 pairs of legs, that's my first one. Most have 2 pairs of wings is my second one. So I've run together 2 independent clauses. I have a run-on. I want to combine them. Logically, I think I'll use the and because it would make the most sense. Adult insects have 3 pairs of legs and most have 2 pairs of wings. That makes sense to me because the 2 parts now fit together in a logical way. I could also have used a semicolon because a semicolon would have worked well there to show the coordination. To my ear, the and sounds better. Number 7, seeing my friend at the concert. Makes no sense, not a complete thought. What about seeing my friend at the concert? I have to add the rest of that. So I'm going to add, seeing my friend at the concert was a pleasant surprise. Now I have my subject and I have my predicate. Was is my verb. Number 8, there are many similar and related organisms. None have all the same traits that insects share. Well, this is a run-on because I have 2 independent clauses, 2 complete sentences, smushed together. I think I'll take that first one and I'll make that a dependent clause. Although there are many similar and related organisms, none have all the same traits that insects share. This makes sense to me because I'm showing now the relationship between the 2 parts of the sentence. Number 9, broke all the speed records in the last race. Well, who broke all the speed records? I'm missing my subject there. I need somebody's name, or I need some noun to make that complete. I think I'll use Janice. Janice broke all the speed records in the last race. Notice that I took that capital B and I made it a lowercase b because, of course, I added the subject before it. Number 10, roosters begin to crow at dawn. They seem to bring a farm to life. Roosters begin to crow at dawn is my first independent clause. They seem to bring a farm to life is my second independent clause. They are run together, so I have a run-on. I'm going to put a semicolon there because the 2 of them are very closely related. So the semicolon to me makes the most logical sense. Next, you have to use correct punctuation and capitalization. Every sentence has to begin with a capital letter and end with the correct end punctuation. The end punctuation can be a period, a question mark, or an exclamation mark, depending on the type of sentence that you are writing. You don't get to use more than 1 mark. In other words, you wouldn't have a period and a question mark together, or you wouldn't have 2 exclamation marks together. If you're using quotation marks, the periods always go inside. The question marks and the exclamation marks can go inside or outside, depending on whether they are part of the quote or not. So that's a matter of logic that you'll evaluate for each individual sentence. I also mentioned to you earlier that correct sentences have modifiers placed properly. Modifiers are describing words and phrases. To modify means to change, and you're modifying by describing something. You decide where to place your modifiers depending on the word that you wish to emphasize, but always place your modifiers as close as possible to the words that they describe, because that way you'll avoid any kind of confusion. Here's an example. In these 3 sentences, the modifier is the word vigorously. It's an adverb. The chef beat the dough vigorously. The chef vigorously beat the dough. Vigorously, the chef beat the dough. In that case, any of those placements is correct because it makes logical sense. But if I have a sentence where it doesn't make logical sense, I get a mistake we call a misplaced modifier. It's placed incorrectly. Misplaced modifiers describe the wrong word. They're exactly what the term suggests. So for example, here's one that has several possible mistakes. The player hit a home run with the green hat. This could mean that the home run was wearing a green hat, or it could mean that the player used a green hat to hit the home run. In either case, it's not correct. What we mean to say is the player himself or herself was wearing the green hat and then hit a home run. So we're going to move that modifier to the correct place by the word player. Now the sentence reads, the player with the green hat hit a home run. Now I have no ambiguity and the sentence is correct. Here's another example. I've taken the modifier only, and by putting it in different places, I've created different meanings. That's okay, except I don't know which meaning the writer wants. Here's one. He ate only the box of cookies. Well, this could mean that he didn't eat any cake, or he didn't eat any apples. Only he ate the box of cookies. Well, this could mean that she didn't eat any cookies. He only ate the box of cookies could mean that he didn't bake them, that he did something else with them. So I'm not really sure what the writer means. I've got to have that sentence clarified by moving that modifier so I understand exactly what is intended. Dangling modifiers appear to modify nothing because there's a word missing from the sentence. Now with misplaced modifiers, you're simply moving a word or a phrase. But with dangling, you've got to provide the part that's missing. For example, walking across the beach, the sand burned my feet. I'm missing something. I don't know who was doing the walking. There's no subject there. I have to add the subject. While I was walking across the beach, the sand burned my feet. These get confusing because you see my or my feet, you see something at the second part of the sentence and you think that it's clear, but it's really not. Here's a list of frequently misplaced modifiers. Almost, hardly, nearly, even, just, only, simply, exactly, merely, and scarcely. But as you learned earlier, any describing word and phrase can be misplaced. So read your sentences over carefully to make sure that you've placed all your modifiers in the correct positions. So now what I would like you to do is to pause the program and try this yourself. Then come back. Correct each sentence. The first two sentences are misplaced modifiers. She served hamburgers to the children on paper plates. That implies that the children are on the paper plates. The correction is, she served hamburgers on paper plates to the children. Number two, on July 20th, 1969, astronauts Neil Armstrong and Edwin Buzz Aldrin landed on the moon, watched by nearly a fifth of the world's population. Well, as that reads, the world was watching the moon, not the astronauts. The correction is, watched by nearly a fifth of the world's population, on July 20th, 1969, astronauts Neil Armstrong and Edwin Buzz Aldrin landed on the moon. 3 and 4 are dangling modifiers. They're missing the subject there. While I was walking to school in the cold, my ears froze. When people purchase a cell phone, the wide variety of calling plans and features overwhelms many of them. In this one, people purchase cell phones, not the calling plans and the features. You want to make your sentences concise by eliminating unnecessary words and phrases. We call unnecessary words and phrases redundancy. You want only the necessary details and examples that you need. Here's some examples. Honest truth, most unique, proceed ahead, and small in size. Honest truth is redundant because truth is honest, so you only need the word truth. Most unique is redundant because things that are unique are the most of their category, so you would simply say unique. Proceed ahead is redundant because you cannot proceed in any other direction but ahead. You can't proceed back. So in that case, you would use the word proceed. And small in size is redundant because you wouldn't have anything that's small in color or small in smell, so you simply say small. So now what I would like you to do is to pause the program and try this yourself. Then come back. Please correct these redundant phrases. Here's the way I fix them. Few in number. Well, I don't need in number, I just need few. Combined together, combined means put together, so I would cross out together. 8 a.m. in the morning, a.m. means in the morning, so I would just say 8 a.m. Final end, well, the end is final, so I would say one or the other, depending on the meaning I needed. Complete stop, well, you can't have a partial stop because then you're still moving, so I would just say stop. Revert back, you can't revert any other way but back, so I would just say revert. Foreign imports, all imports are foreign, so I would just simply say imports. Sum total, either one of those words, but not both. End results, well, the results are the end, so I would just say results. Kills bugs dead, you wouldn't kill bugs alive, so I would just say kills bugs. Free gifts, one of my favorites. All gifts are free, because if they're not free, they're not gifts, so I would just say gifts. And live and breathe. Well, if you're living, you are breathing, so I would just say live. You also want your sentences to be clear, because this helps you communicate your meaning to your audience. One of the effective ways to make your sentences clear is to eliminate the initial to be, if you wrote that. For example, if you had it is, or there are, or there is, or there was, you would eliminate that to make your sentence more clear. These are called expletive constructions. Very wordy. It was Friday that we had the test. Why not simply say, we had the test on Friday? Or, on Friday, we had the test. I've gotten rid of that it was, and I don't need it. That makes my sentence much tighter, more concise by getting rid of unnecessary words. You can also make your sentences more concise and create logic by coordinating ideas. When you coordinate, you equate ideas, which means that the two ideas on either side of the conjunction are equally important. You would do this with short, choppy sentences because you're creating logic by doing so. You use the coordinating conjunctions from fanboys, for and nor, but, or, yet, so, or a semicolon. Here's an example. High-level clouds are typically thin and white in appearance. They can appear in a magnificent array of colors at sunset. Well, that's okay, but they're basically two short, choppy sentences. I can make that a little bit better. I could upgrade my writing by combining them through coordination. High-level clouds are typically thin and white in appearance, comma, but can appear in a magnificent array of colors at sunset. Now, working with what we said before about eliminating redundancy, if they're white in appearance, I don't need that phrase in appearance because that's the only way that they would be. So I would take this one step further and I would say high-level clouds are typically thin and white, but can appear in a magnificent array of colors at sunset. So now I've created logic through coordination and I have eliminated redundancy.